This is MTG Burgeoning, and in this video we are going to update and upgrade our Morophon the Boundless Changeling Matters EDH deck. Thank you for joining us for another installment of the Up and Up series. Today we are updating and upgrading Morophon the Boundless in our oh-so-famous Changeling deck. If you are unfamiliar with this build, you can look in the description below where you will find a link to this build's deck tech, a link to this build's up-to-the-moment deck list, in addition to a link to this build's video primer series. We have some cards going into the main deck. The Changeling pool will be left untouched for this video. The first card going into the actual deck, it's going to be a very, very nice one once we get it into play, and that is Omo, Queen of Vesuva. Here we have a legendary Shapeshifter Noble 1/5 for 2 and Simic hybrid mana. That's a green or a blue. And whenever Omo, Queen of Vesuva, enters the battlefield or attacks, we put an everything counter on each of up to one target land and up to one target creature. So note that even if we don't have a creature to target, the up to clause allows us to choose 0. Each land with an everything counter on it is every land type in addition to its other types. So make a note of this. That's every land type. So yes, that includes, it will be a sphere, it will be a cave, it will be a desert. It will also be a plains, an island, a swamp, a mountain, and a forest. So we're pretty much going to turn every land that has an everything counter on it into our own personalized command tower. And we get to do this every time she enters and attacks. And with a robust toughness of 5, we should be able to send her into combat quite confidently, knowing that she's not going to die. And each non-land creature with an everything counter on it is every creature type. So that pretty much just makes any creature with an everything counter on it a changeling. And that means any of the cards from our changeling pool, if they're creatures and they're on our side of the battlefield, we're going to put an everything counter on them and they're going to become changelings. Omo is going to change everything that we're going to be doing in this deck, but not really changing anything at all. Changeling here, changeling there, command towers left and right. Omo is going to be an absolute force for what she's going to do. With Omo going into the 99, coming out is going to be Arcane Signet. Now, this is a tough choice because way back when we first put this build together, there was very, very few Changeling synergies because this deck has been going on for years and years through evolution. Now we're getting to a point where we have to start strongly evaluating non-Changeling specific cards because we want the overall flavor of this deck to be 100% Changeling. So with Arcane Signet and the ability for it to ramp, we are going to replace it with Omo's ability to mana fix. So we're going to lose a mana rock, but what we're gaining in Omo should help the overall strength and theme of the deck so much more than what Arcane Signet brings us. I'm not saying that Omo's mana fixing and Changeling fixing is going to be better than the Arcane Signet's mana ramp. I'm saying that Omo in for Arcane Signet is going to bring us one step closer to ultimate Changeling flavor, which is what we're trying to do with this build. All right, the next card going into the deck, it is, oh yes, here we go. It is Back in Town. Here we have a sorcery for X2 and a black mana, and we return X target outlaw creature cards from our graveyard to the battlefield. Outlaws are assassins, mercenaries, pirates, rogues, and warlocks. What we read here is that we just returned X-target Changeling cards from our graveyard to the battlefield. This is going to help us get back our fallen Changeling creatures, particularly because they're all going to have all of those different creature types. They're all considered outlaws because remember, Changeling means they're every creature type. This is our own personalized recursion spell that fits the theme of our Changeling deck absolutely beautifully. With Back in Town going into the deck, coming out It's going to be Conjurer's Mantle. So here we are replacing one form of card advantage for some mass recursion, or for some, let's say, we could pretty much call that a mass recursion spell. We can call it single recursion. We have flexibility in what we can recur here. Here with Conjurer's Mantle, we're losing an equipment that gave equipped creature +1/+1 in vigilance. Of course, its mana value was 1 and a white. Its equipped cost was 2. Its equipped cost is 1, and whenever an equipped creature attacked, we looked at the top 6 cards of our library, and we revealed a card that shares a creature type with the creature from among them, and put it into our hand. So if we have this on one of our changelings, and we send it into combat, what we're going to do is we're most likely, as long as we have a creature in one of those 6, we're going to put that card into our hand. Unfortunately, through gameplay, our changelings are not big dudes, okay? They're not going to survive a lot of combats. So what we're really doing is we're pretty much sacrificing one of our changelings to send it into combat just to get its eventual replacement into our hand if one of those 6 cards happens to be a creature that we reveal upon this artifact's attack trigger. So I don't really know. I mean, I got to the point in playing with this card where I'm like, I don't really want to get it out onto the battlefield. I know it's not much for mana value, and the equip cost is minuscule. And it does help us to get creatures into our hand, but we don't have like 40 creatures in this deck that will allow us to be picky and choosy. If we get just 1 out of the 6, we have to take that one, and if that one was worse than the changeling we sent into combat, unwittingly knowing that what we're going to get out of those 6 cards, the randomness is a little bit unnerving, and then we lose that changeling. We're not an aristocratic build, although we may have some death triggers here and there from some of the cards in the changeling pool. We don't necessarily want to just send our changelings off to die. That's why we want to bring it back in town into the deck, because we want to bring those dead changelings back from our graveyard right to the battlefield. So we're going to see how this works out, but I have a feeling that the one-time usage of back in town will be better than seeing the different cards and the card advantage given to us by Conjurer's Mantle, particularly because we have a lot of ways to filter through the top of our library and throughout our deck, but we don't have a ton of creature recursion. So we're going to slightly weaken our card advantage by taking out the mantle and buff up our recursion with Back in Town. All right, the last card going in today. All right, MTG let's see what we think about this. Card 3 going in. There it is. It is Shoot the Sheriff. Here we have an instant for 1 and a black mana, and it's destroy target non-outlaw creature. So that means we're going to just pay 1 and a black at instant speed to destroy target creature as long as it's not an assassin, a mercenary, a pirate, a rogue, or a warlock. We're going to take those odds because, let's face it, assassins are very popular and so are pirates and rogues. Not so much as assassins these days, thanks to Assassin's Creed. But mercenaries and warlocks, we're not going to see too many of those. And we're not going to sit down to too many games at the table that are going to feature changeling decks. So here we have an on-theme card to put into our changeling build. Spot removal, destroy target creature is how we're really going to look at this, because the options on the battlefield are going to be in our favor of destroying a non-outlaw creature. And we do so for 1 and 1 black mana at instant speed with no other drawback. We will take this card and this removal spell every day of the week and twice during Friday Night Magic. With Shoot the Sheriff going in, the card coming out is going to be Wargate. Here we had a sorcery for X and Bant colors, which is a green, a white, and a blue mana. We search our library for a permanent card with mana cost X or less and put it into play, and then shuffle our library. More often than not, this card was used to grab Maskwood Nexus. We were jamming 4 into X, paying a total of 7 mana to put the Maskwood Nexus onto our side of the battlefield in order to make sure all of our creatures pretty much get Changeling. We're not really in the need to do that. We have other spells that can get us our Maskwood Nexus, and in addition, similar to Arcane Signet, Wargate is falling into that type of card that, well, it's not a changelingy card. and Shoot the Sheriff is, and we don't have a ton of spot removal as it pertains to staying on theme. We have other ways in which to tutor, but we don't have much spot removal. So similar to the swap of Conjurer's Mantle for Back in Town, we're going to slightly weaken our tutoring abilities by taking out a non-on-theme card and replacing it with a card of need in spot removal that is on theme. Remember, our quest to make this Changeling deck 100% flavor continues. All right, MTGBC, you let me know about these 3 changes in the comment section below. This is MTG Burgeoning, your channel for all things Magic.